So I'm DJ Kelly, and it's now time, like I said, for the news roundup. So we're going to go through the New York Times, the front page, see what's on the front page. And then we're going to look at some migration trends and some consumer trends. And today we have some amazing new marketing statistics to share with you, and as well as some migration trends for 2020. Amazing stuff. So let's begin. So in the weather, today partly sunny, rather mild, 48. And tonight will be cloudy much of the time, low 39. And for tomorrow, periodic heavy rain, poor street drainage, high 49. And of course, you can see the weather map on page A26 of the New York Times. All the news that's fit to print. It's January 24, and on the front page, we have a photograph. Of course, just by the image, even if you didn't know who the people are, you know that it has to do with the impeachment. That much is clear from the appearance of it. The subtext below that image is Representative Hakeem Jeffries, Democrat of New York, discussed notes with other House impeachment managers on Thursday. I hope you're hearing me clearly. So there are four men who are, okay, there's one speaking. He's sitting in a chair, like the central spot in the photo. And then there are two men listening to him, looking directly at him. And then there is another man who walks behind him. That's what's, I'm trying to describe the photo for you. And behind him is a bookshelf. It looks like a case with encyclopedias or really thick books. So that's what the image looks like, should you not be able to see it. That's my best shot anyway. Okay, so let's look at the story relating to this picture. There's another photo here. You can see President Donald Trump. He's standing, it looks like next to a door, and you can see a reflection of him. So you can see his photo and then you see a reflection of him. He's not looking too happy at all. So the headline next to these two images says, Democrats turn focus to Trump's intentions in Ukraine aid freeze. In the Ukraine aid freeze. Okay, and a subtitle, case takes a risky turn as the Bidens become part of the discussion. This story is written by Cheryl Gay Stolberg, and it's out of Washington. House Democrats sought on Thursday to preemptively dismantle President Trump's core defenses in his impeachment trial, invoking his own words to argue that his pressure campaign on Ukraine was an abuse of power that warranted his removal. On the second day of arguments in the third presidential impeachment trial in American history, Democrats sought to make the case that Mr. Trump's actions were an affront to the Constitution, and they worked to disprove his lawyers' claims that he was acting only in the nation's interests when he sought to enlist Ukraine to investigate political rivals. In doing so, they took a calculated risk in talking at length about Mr. Trump's targets, former Vice President Joseph R. Biden Jr. and his son Hunter Biden, and underscored the political backdrop of a trial that is unfolding only 10 months before the election and is likely to reverberate long before the verdict. And here is a quote. You know you can't trust this president to do what's right for this country. You can trust he will do what's right for Donald Trump, said Representative Adam B. Schiff, the lead impeachment manager. the lead impeachment manager said in an impassioned appeal as the clock ticked past 10 p.m. Another quote, "This is why you find him guilty. You must find that he should be removed because right matters. Right matters and the truth matters. Otherwise, we are lost." The team of 7 Democratic impeachment managers repeatedly attacked the idea that when the president withheld military aid from Ukraine and sought to secure a promise to investigate Joseph Biden, he was merely making a foreign policy decision to root out corruption in Ukraine. Mr. Trump has consistently suggested, without any evidence, that Mr. Biden pushed to remove a Ukrainian prosecutor who was investigating Burisma, a Ukrainian energy company with a long history of corruption, and employed Hunter Biden on its board. Corruption that employed Hunter Biden on its board. Representative Sylvia R. Garcia, Democrat of Texas, spent nearly an hour debunking the claim and said that, in fact, the opposite was true. This story continues on page A11. And the Speaker, Nancy Pelosi, has closely managed the impeachment from the start. She's not letting up during the Senate trial. That story is on page A12. The voters, most we talked to are paying attention to the trial, get what it's all about, and have strong opinions on impeachment. That continues on page A10. In other stories, another headline says, a voice the president's team can't hush, the president's, by Peter Baker. And this again is from Washington. The House managers prosecuting President Trump for high crimes and misdemeanors have failed so far to persuade Senate Republicans to let them call new witnesses in his impeachment trial. But in their own way, they have come up with a star witness they can bring to the floor, Mr. Trump himself. Barred at this point from presenting live testimony, the managers have offered up the president as the most damning witness against himself, turning his own words against him by quoting from his public remarks, citing accounts of private discussions, and showing video clips of him making audacious statements that the House team argues validate its case. Thanks to screens set up in front of the senators, Mr. Trump's voice was repeatedly echoed through the Senate chambers the past 3 days. There he was on the South Lawn with the White House publicly calling on Ukraine to investigate a campaign rival, former Vice President Joseph R. Biden Jr. There he was calling on China to go after Biden too. There he was declaring that he would willingly take foreign help to win an election. That story continues, and well, the final thing says, and there he was back in 2016 calling on Russia. If you're listening. Wow, that story continues on page A13 in other news. Facing queries about his son, Biden is by turns calm or curt. Facing queries about his son, Biden is by turns calm or curt. This story is by Thomas Kaplan and Katie Gluck. Joseph R. Biden Jr. called an octogenarian voter a damn liar and challenged him to a push-up contest. He dismissed a heckler as an idiot. He commanded the news media to focus on President Trump instead of the overseas business dealings of his son, Hunter Biden, demanding of one reporter, "Ask the right question." That was a quote. For months now, Mr. Biden has been confronted on the campaign trail with questions, attacks, and misinformation concerning his son, encounters that have taken on a dramatic feel, given the uncertainty of how Mr. Biden will respond. As he began to address the crowd in a high school gym in Sparks this month, a group of protesters held up letters spelling out a taunt that Mr. Trump uses regularly. "Where's Hunter?" Mr. Biden responded by saying his son sends his best regards. As the Senate impeachment trial of the president continues this week, there is renewed focus in Washington on Hunter Biden, who held a seat on the board of a Ukrainian energy company at a time when his father was vice president and handling diplomacy with the country. That story continues on page A16 of the New York Times. In other headlines, "He raped me," an actress tells Weinstein jury, by Jan Ransom and Alan Feuer. Those are the writers for this article. They met at a party in Los Angeles in the early 1990s. She was an up-and-coming actress. He was a young producer. As they got to know each other over the next few years, there were, she said, some inappropriate gestures, a care package of popcorn and Valium, a box of chocolate penises. Then Annabella Sciorra said on the witness stand on Thursday Harvey Weinstein raped her. Fighting back tears, Ms. Annabella testified in excruciating detail to a hushed courtroom about the night after she said she was attacked. After shoving his way into her Manhattan apartment, she said, Mr. Weinstein took her to a bedroom, forced her onto the bed, and as she sought to fight him off, sexually assaulted her. I was trying to get him off me. That's a quote. She told the jury, her voice cracking with emotion. Another quote. I was punching him, kicking him, but Mr. Weinstein held her down, she said, adding, he got on top of me and he raped me. The testimony in State Supreme Court in Manhattan marked the first time that one of Mr. Weinstein's numerous accusers took the stand at a long-awaited criminal trial that has come to symbolize the #MeToo movement. That story continues on page A20. In another story, Subway's chief resigns in feud with governor. And that story is by Christina Goldbaum and Emma Fitzsimmons. After being lured to New York 2 years ago to help revive the city's subway, Andy Byford earned praise from riders and mass transit advocates for bringing about improvements on an antiquated system that had been undermined by breakdowns, delays, and mismanagement. But as Mr. Byford rose in stature, even earning the nickname Train Daddy among rail enthusiasts, he increasingly clashed with the one official who has the final say over the subways, Governor Andrew M. Cuomo, who considers himself something of a modern-day master builder. On Thursday, Mr. Byford resigned, sowing doubt about the future of extensive plans that are intended to modernize the nation's largest subway system. Corey Johnson, the city council speaker, responded with one word on Twitter: devastated. And that's a quote in full caps. Mr. Byford suggested in his resignation letter that he had chafed over a plan supported by the governor to scale back his duties as part of a reorganization for the Metropolitan Transportation Authority, the state agency that runs the subway and is controlled by Mr. Cuomo. That story continues on page A20. There's another photo that's on the front page, and you can see Okay, it looks like a wilderness that is full of smoke. And there are two firefighters, both of them with the hose pouring water. And you can see in the background the fire is still raging. U.S. casualties in Australia is the text beneath that. 3 American firefighters died when a plane carrying fire retardant crashed above battling a blaze in New South Wales. That story is on page A8. In other news, as fears of pandemic grow, China puts 20 million on lockdown. This story is by Chris Buckley and Javier Hernandez, and it's coming out of Wuhan, China. The authorities drastically expanded a travel lockdown in central China on Thursday, essentially penning in more than 22 million residents to contain a deadly virus that is overwhelming hospitals and fueling fears of a pandemic. The new limits, abruptly decreed ahead of the Lunar New Year holiday, China's busiest travel season, were an extraordinary step that underscored the ruling Communist Party's deepening fears about the outbreak of a little understood coronavirus. It has killed at least 25 people and sickened more than 800. Wow, yesterday it was at 17, today it's at 25. And sickened more than 800 in China and at least 6 other countries, including the United States. According to statistics from health officials, in Wuhan, the Hubei provincial capital of 11 million, where the outbreak began, anxiety and anger prevailed as worried residents crowded into hospitals and teams of medical workers in hazmat suits sought to identify the infected. And here's a quote: "They can't take proper care of all the people here," said Sun Ansheng, a man in his 50s who was waiting outside a hospital while his wife was tested for the coronavirus, so named because of the spiky halo around the microorganism. And that story continues on page A6. In other headlines, in business, Jeff Bezos, tabloid darling. Just a year ago, the world's richest man seemed to have a pretty low-key life. Times sure have changed. In another headlines, Wells Fargo's ex-chief fined. John Stumpf will pay $17.5 million for his role in foisting unwanted products and sham accounts on customers. In international headlines, peace plan to be unveiled. President Trump scheduled a White House meeting on the plan with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel and his opponent Benny Gantz. And another headline, Myanmar told to halt carnage. The country must do all it can to protect Rohingya Muslims from genocidal acts, a court in The Hague ruled. And in New York, 91 and searching for a home. Residents of a Manhattan senior community must leave the homes they thought would be their last. I'm so sorry. Residents of a Manhattan senior community must leave the homes they thought would be their last. And in national news, how Grammys got off track. Accusations of harassment and bullying impede what was supposed to be a new path for the Grammys. Philadelphia prelate replaced. Oh no. Philadelphia prelate replaced. The Pope accepted the resignation of Archbishop Charles Chaput, a conservative and traditionalist. And that is, there's one more. In weekend arts, memorials, and I left off sports too, right? In weekend arts, memorials reimagined using video projections. There's a word here I cannot pronounce. KRZYSZTOF. Christoph turns monuments into megaphones for the powerless. The Lizzo phenomenon. The singer seems poised to have a big night at the Grammys. Our critics discuss the wave she is riding. And for Sports Friday, these are the headlines. A humble giant in New York. After 16 NFL seasons, all with the Giants, Eli Manning chose to retire rather than play elsewhere. Serena Williams is ousted. Williams, a 7-time Australian Open champion, lost to 27th seeded Wang Qiu of China in 3 sets. I just can't pronounce the surname. It's Qiang. Yeah. And that is the end of the news headline. Oh my goodness. That virus is really spreading real fast. Like every day I read on it, it's up by at least 5. It's crazy. Like it's just getting out of control. In migration news, and this is from Global Migration Data Analysis Center Data Briefing Series, IOM's Global Migration Data Analysis Center. That's IOM, International Organization for Migration. Measuring Global Migration Potential 2010 to 2015. So here are the key findings. Less than 0.5% of adults worldwide are making preparations to migrate abroad. While large numbers of people around the world express a general desire to migrate, 710 million, far fewer people report that they are actually planning or preparing to migrate in the next 12 months. Less than 10% of those expressing a general wish to migrate say they are making plans to move in the next 12 months, 66 million adults. And only 23 million adults report taking specific steps to realize their plans. This figure is based on IOM's analysis of international survey data for the period 2010 to 2015. And this, of course, is the latest data that's there. 1 in 3 adults surveyed plans to migrate to a developing country. That's interesting. 1 in 3 adults surveyed plans to migrate to a developing country. When asked where they would like to move, most people said they would prefer to move to Europe or North America, but 1 in 3 said they were preparing to move to a developing country. The most popular destination for those planning to migrate is the United States of America, followed by the United Kingdom, Saudi Arabia, France, Canada, Germany, and South Africa. Half of those planning to migrate live in just 20 countries. 8 are in Africa, but 2 are in Europe, Italy, and Spain. Migration potential surveys may provide an indication of likely flows. The number of people planning to migrate is a good predictor of actual flows of people, as recorded by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, Eurostat, and UNDESA. Further analysis of migration potential may contribute to developing migration scenarios and forecasting. And finally, profile of potential migrants. Adults planning and preparing to migrate are more likely to be male, young, single, living in urban areas, and more likely to have completed at least secondary education. So there you have it. That's and I as I always say, if you travel, if you plan to travel, if you have family members who you love who will be traveling, then migration should matter to you, because not all migration is planned. Some migration is unplanned and unexpected, because circumstances and situations happen that sometimes persons end up in situations where they are involuntarily living in a country that's not their home or not where they were born. Well, there are persons who intentionally plan to travel, like based on the data we just shared. So that is the migration trend for today. And now on to one of the more exciting part. I'm excited about this data. It's coming from HubSpot and their research, marketing statistics. And this is they titled this the ultimate list of marketing statistics for 2020. So if you're looking for the latest marketing statistics and trends, they've got us covered, and they always do. I have to commend HubSpot. They always do these amazing research, because of course HubSpot is a CRM company, that's customer relationship management. So they have access to a lot of data. So they're able to tell us about the different trends and what's happening, so we can be advised when we do campaigns and when we're positioning our business is how to go about it. So in search engine optimization statistics, right? So that search engine optimization, or SEO, allows you to understand how consumers are searching for and finding information about your brand and your competitors online. By incorporating SEO strategies in your marketing efforts, you'll increase your website's visibility and rankings, websites or apps. The following statistics will help you fine-tune your SEO strategy so your website pages appear higher on search engine results pages, as well as increase website traffic and conversion, because the conversion is what we really want, right? Access now 20 SEO myths to leave behind in 2020. Okay, so conversion rate optimization, CRO. The average e-commerce industry conversion rate is 2.04%. The industry with the greatest average conversion rate is arts and craft at 4.01%. And that's from Grow Code 2020. It's important to know the data, because when you go to these companies that do marketing, sometimes they give you data that does not exist. Okay? And I do marketing, so I know. Using videos on landing pages will increase conversion by 86%. That's from WordStream 2018. 90% of searchers haven't made their mind up about a brand before starting their search. And this is being proven more and more. Even for, I would have read some, I think it was last week, I shared with you where the percentage of persons who searched for a company before going into buy, what I think it was 99% or something like that on Google, the Google Trends report. UMERADIO, our parent company is UME Digital Media, and that company has a partnership with Google, and we get all the data, so that's why we're able to share these things with you. And I recall, I think it was 99% of persons who came and searched. They searched the company or searched the product they wanted before going into a company. And I think in the Christmas it was like 48% of persons who didn't purchase until they researched the company. So it's a big deal, you know. So 90%, this is saying, of searchers haven't made their mind up about a brand before starting a search. So if you're not online, you're out of the game. Germany has the highest average conversion rate by country, followed by the US. Wow, and that's a 2020 report from Grow Code. That's interesting. In e-commerce, 84% of people will not make a purchase if they are dealing with an unsecured website. Do you know what that means? An unsecured website is where a lot of people like to buy cheap domain names, right? And then these domain names are not secure. They don't have SSL. So whenever it comes up, once the GDPR is activated and other security measures are activated on their systems or on their computers, and an alert is going to come up for them, and it's going to be in red that your website isn't secure. Also, if you have intentions to migrate your website into an app, you won't be able to use your website in the app because it will not be allowed if it's not secure. So that's something to pay attention to. So HTTPS and HTTP are two completely different things. By 2021, global retail e-commerce sales will reach $4.5 trillion. Referrals defined as traffic driven from external sites that link to your online store are the greatest source of e-commerce conversion. That is true. That is true. Well, it's data, so of course. Of course it is true. Wow. I'm still looking back on the one that says by 2021, global retail e-commerce sales will reach $4.5 trillion. Like that's where my mind still is. And that's a report from Shopify Plus from 2018. Yeah, referrals are amazing, which is why it's important for you to be able to have a web platform that allows for digital integration, where you can connect your different platforms to your website in a way that it flows. B2B e-commerce sales are expected to outgrow B2C e-commerce sales by 2020. Yes. So, because you see, it's about collaborating. So business to business, people are more, businesses are working together, are partnering. And as this is indicating, they're expected to outgrow business to customer, which is B2C, right? So B2B is business to business, B2C is business to customers. You can research that. Okay, local SEO. The percentage of searches with the SERP element, local increased from 2016 to 2019 from 15% to 39%. That's from JumpShot 2019 report. 82% of smartphone shoppers conduct near me searches. Search Engine Land 2018. There has been a 900% increase in searches that contain near me today / tonight over the last 2 years, and that's from Think with Google. Local searches lead 50% of mobile users to visit stores within 1 day. 61% of mobile searches are more likely to contact a local business if they have a mobile-friendly site. Mobile search. Google drives 96% of mobile search traffic. Wow, that's amazing. More than 40, and that research, by the way, was not done by Google. Jody Nimet's company, 2018. More than 46% of Americans will check their smartphones before getting out of bed. Tech Times 2017, over 51% of smartphone users have discovered a new company or product while conducting a search on their own smartphone. Google 2018. 78% of location-based mobile searches result in an offline purchase. 86% of people look up the location of a business on Google Maps. Organic search. And I'm almost done. So we have organic search, then voice search, and I'm done. So stay with me. Organic search. Google is responsible for 94% of total organic traffic. Web Presence Solutions 2017 report. It's possible to increase the number of monthly organic search views of old blog posts that have been optimized by an average of 106%. 50% of search queries are 4 words or longer. Hear that? 50% of search queries are 4 words or longer. Impact 2019. So, well, I'll let you figure it out. 61% of marketers say improving SEO and growing their organic presence is their top inbound marketing priority. 70 to 80% of search engine users are only focusing on the organic results. Video content is 50 times more likely to drive organic search results than plain text. That's a report from Omnicore. Organic SERP click-through rates are higher for long-tail keywords, 3 to 4 words, than generic keywords, 1 to 2 words, by between 3 to 5%, Smart Insights. Organic SEO is about 5.66 times better than paid search ads. I've been saying this to the people I work with for a long time. Your content has to seem relevant to the people watching. For them, advertising is different. It has to be in content format these days. So if you're a young brand, or if you're an upcoming brand, or if you're someone who you're an entrepreneur, you need to be aware of these things. Your story is data. Your story and data is the new oil. Your story, your experience is more valuable than any copyright idea you can come up with that isn't true. So you can actually rely on your real life experience and use it and leverage it to earn. Yes, there's a course that I have, sidebar. There's a course on Udemy. It's called Learn Personal Branding for Ministry, Mindfulness in Ministry class. You should check it out because we talk about all of this and how to position yourself. Including a video in a post increases organic traffic from search results by 157%. Organic SERP click-through rates are higher for branded keywords than non-branded keywords. Voice search. 65% of 25 to 49-year-olds speak to their voice-enabled device at least once a day. Voice is expected to be a $40 billion channel by 2022. That's why Siri and what's that thing from Amazon that I remember? But that's why those things are so successful, because you just talk to it and it does the job for you. Because that's just where people are multitasking more, and so people want to feel as though things they have helpful systems and services. Smart speaker shipments grew nearly 200% YOY in Q3 2018 globally. By 2020, 50% of all online searches will be voice searches. As of January 2018, there were about 1 billion voice searches per month. And the last data, 2/3 of people who use digital voice assistants such as Amazon Echo or Google Home use their smartphones less often. There's one more thing I'd like to share with you, and it's the UMERADIO app. That's UMERADIO. We are on Play Store, and by Monday, I believe, we'll be on your Apple Store. And I just wanted to share it with you. So we understand that inspirational content is something that people seek today, as mindfulness becomes more important to persons, as the data shows. And so we are happy to be among the list of companies that facilitates this kind of programming for those who seek it. So I want to introduce you to the UMERADIO app. On our app, we have live radio, where you can actually listen to our radio station wherever you are at any time of day. We're 24/7. We have different varying programs that's aimed at inspiring you. We also have what we call our we have a multimedia channel, or YouTube channel, and we have a website that's umewatch.com. You can check it out, and also the radio station has a website as well. That's umeradio.com. And then we also, and so for the Yumi Watch, we have a YouTube channel that's alive and well, that has some interesting content. We focus on documentaries and reality, like real life experiences of people and what people are going through, and having them share their stories and sharing that with you. And you can get that there. And then we have umepress.com. That's where we produce newspapers for publishers. So for example, if you want to start your own newspaper business, we can enable you to do so. We can provide you with the services for that. And we currently have multiple newspapers that we publish and that are distributed to different parts of the world. So that's what that is, UMEPress, where we, do different publications. We also do cartoons as well, things like that. And publish books and things like that. So whatever publications you want to do and you need assistance with, we're here for you. We just yesterday launched our dating feature on our app, where you can log on, you can sign up, and you are able to connect with prospective dates. And as well as we have the Christians and Sex program that's shared there as well. And we have a private social network where persons who are dating, so before you meet up with the person that so let's say you logged on, you joined the dating network and you met someone, what you can do then is go to our private social network and you can start conversations there to learn who this person is, to learn some more about them, to get more information about them, so it's almost like it's a social network similar to like Facebook or whatever, but you're able to post pictures and they're able to share pictures as well, and you're able to learn a little more about them before you meet, so for your own needs based on what you want to do. But we just do that so that you have the choice of doing that. You know what I mean? We also have RSS feeds of news that we share on there, as well as we have the platform where you can send posts to us. You can ask us questions. So you can share your own thoughts and let us know what you can speak to us. You can talk to us. There are other things that we have on there. We are now at the end of the news headlines, and we looked at what was on the New York Times front page, migration trends, and business trends as well. So it is our hope that was useful for you. You're listening to Yumi Radio, WMEDB New York. I am DJ Kelly, and let's get back to some music.